Pilgrims Hotel to its wonderfully eclectic mix of people that you meet just walking down the high street. It's certainly been an interesting day. This is Berkeley Castle, and it was built way back in 1154. It's still the home of the Berkeley family. Over the centuries, it's had many notable guests staying here, the most famous being Edward II, who was imprisoned here and apparently came to his grisly end in one of the cells. With so much history, it's hardly surprising that the castle is said to be haunted. Berkeley Castle was built in 1153 and has served an important role in English history, including the imprisoning and murder of King Edward II. For approximately 850 years, the castle has been home to the Berkeley family and claims to be the oldest inhabited castle in England. Ghosts are said to abound within its stone walls, and the current heir to the estate, Charles Berkeley, agreed to show me around.
I'm just going to take you down into this room, an amazing room down here.
What room is this?
This is the Great Hall, the sort of banqueting hall, the main room in the castle where they'd have had huge feasts and banquets and weddings and parties. And it's also got some ghost stories. I hear that you're interested in learning a bit more. There is the story of a lady. There's a lady in white that's been seen going up that staircase onto that gallery. And she's disappeared, literally, at the top of the gallery. And she's been seen by one of our guides. So who knows?
Does anyone know who that ghost may be?
No, we think it's a Berkeley lady or a lady who was married to a Berkeley, but we're not sure. All we know is she's dressed in white, fair hair, and she has been seen several times.
Where do we go now?
Right, Michaela, up the stairs here.
This is an amazing area.
This is fantastic, and what I love about this is the wall hangings here, the silk wall hangings. They were made locally in the Stroud Valley, and supposedly it was a Henry VIII's bedchamber at Hampton Court, and it was a gift when he came and visited with his wife, Anne Boleyn, before she had her head chopped off. He came and gave us this.
So some people bring flowers, but Henry VIII bought a wall hanging?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's been patched up over the years, but it's stunning. I'm going to take you into the old chapel, because this is a really interesting room. Okay.
So this doesn't look like a chapel?
It doesn't. It's been changed a lot. This was, in the old days, there was a door at that entrance there, and there would have been an altar up here, and this was turned into a morning room by the last Berkeley, Lord Berkeley. But it was a chapel, and it's got amazing inscriptions on the roof going back to 1400 from the Bible, which were only uncovered about 50 years ago when we were doing some work on the painted decoration. It's got this beautiful fireplace that came from France, and
where does that date back to then?
That dates back to 1400s.
And the tapestries behind you?
And the tapestries are 16th century, and they're all Belgian. Really lovely tapestries. It's just a fantastic room.
So has there been any paranormal activity in this room?
There has, and because this was a chapel, we had some people doing some filming here, and they saw a priest. They presumed he's a priest, like a monk, with the hood and everything else. He disappeared through that door. He literally walked through it.
And they saw his actual figure, not just a sort of shadow of his figure?
They saw an actual figure. They saw the face, and then he turned away with the hood over and walked literally through the door.
I guess all these paintings have a history as well.
They do. There are hundreds of them, and they can all, I'm sure, tell a story about their life here at the castle.
Thanks. This part of the castle is absolutely stunning, isn't it?
It's fantastic. It's just beautiful. This whole inner Bailey, and there is a story. That stone bench over there. There's a story. My mother was out having her first cup of coffee in the morning with the dogs, and she saw three ladies sitting on that bench in costume, Victorian costume, and she went up to them thinking it was strange early in the morning, and she said they just vanished. As soon as she got within 10 yards, they suddenly vanished, and she was stunned, and my father came out and said, I've seen a ghost, and she said, I think I have. Okay, Michaela, we're going into the keep now, and up the trip steps.
Why are they called trip steps? Because they're all different levels.
They're all on different levels, and all these soldiers would come running up here, and if the soldiers were defending up here, a lot of them would probably have tripped on the way up. And
how embarrassing!
And then this is amazing. This is the original entrance to Edward II's cell where he was imprisoned and murdered.
So this is where the grisly history is.
This is where the grisly history of Berkeley is, that people really know about. Berkeley Castle is Edward II met his end in this very room.
It's actually not as horrible as I thought it was going to be.
It isn't. It is a room. It's just a very old room with little windows, and hasn't changed much over the years. But it would have been, it would have been very cold in here and fairly damp.
So what happened to Edward II in this room?
He was imprisoned in here. There was a dungeon, basically a pit, oubliette, next to this cell, and he was imprisoned in here, brought into here for 6 months, and kept by his wife and the barons and various others in this room, captured. No one knew he was here. They kept him here, fed him, looked after him for 6 months, and then decided that they were going to do away with him. He was considered quite a weak king. He had his favourites, and the barons weren't happy with him. And in the end, the story goes, he was suffocated in here, in his bed one night, and a red-hot poker burnt his insides out, which was a horrible way to go.
So basically the red-hot poker was put up his bottom?
Up his bottom, and his insides would have been burnt, so that there
oh
was no mark on the
my
outside
word!
of his body, so no one would have known what happened.
Paranormal researcher Richard Felix was one of the first people to come and investigate the castle when he stayed overnight in Edward II's cell.
I've had loads of experiences here. To me, this is one of the jewels in Britain's haunted crown. There's so much trauma that went on in this castle from 1153. Battles, executions, murders. I was the first person to sleep in the room where King Edward II was murdered since he did, and it was on the anniversary. And I slept all night alone. Well, I didn't sleep at all in the room, but I spent the night in there. I'm convinced that someone was standing by the door. So convinced that I thought it was Tim, the curator, that had actually come to check that I was all right. And I sort of sat up and said, "Hello, Tim, hello?" Nobody there, nobody answered. But I just got this ridiculous sense. You see, I don't see dead people. I'm not in the slightest bit psychic, or I may be sensitive to the subject, but it's not anything in my mind. There was someone there, I'm sure. So things happened, but I can't prove beyond all doubt that they were paranormal. But I know for a fact that room is haunted.
Well, Berkeley Castle really is an interesting place, and with almost 900 years of history captured in the fabric of the walls, maybe Richard's right. There could be many more ghosts here yet to be discovered. See you next time. Bye-bye.